friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Saturday, May 8th, 2021. Happy birthday, George. In both the Lynn life and the Jamie body mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from all other dimensions, as long as the souls are already living by the many search for truth rules already given to the search for truth community by wiser minds above all of us. And we acknowledge that the souls don't live by that by and large, but if we, the host lives, don't say it, we aren't doing our part. And if we, the host lives, aren't doing our part, then what does that say about us? And somebody's saying it says you think other people should handle your problems.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's true. It would be a good example of not taking responsibility for ourselves.
That's right.
Part of the assignment of this filming project, which we were assigned, somebody's asking when were we assigned this, and it was in the spring of 2014.
That's right.
And it was simply the next stage of this many decades long effort of attempting to awaken humanity to start listening to what we're supposed to be doing rather than what we want to do. And to change, because we're destroying all life on Earth, we as humans, somebody is saying you, but they mean humans,
Yeah, that's right.
are destroying all life on Earth, and that this is God's planet, not humanity's planet, and God is not happy with humanity destroying the planet that God so loved, for God so loved the world. And they're talking about the dreaming. In this last night, there was a dreamer over here who was watching a controlled burn, and in a fire-dependent ecosystem, burns are necessary for the health of the ecosystem. And the dreamer was watching the fire and noticing that there was an area with dead trees in it, and thinking,
right.
I'm glad that the fire is going to burn those dead trees. It will be a natural process, and then that area can regenerate. And what happened instead was that the fire went out.
That's right.
And the dreamer, when the call to wake up came, the dreamer was trying to figure out what that might mean. And the dreamer was coming to the conclusion it probably was a bad sign that there was something toxic there that had killed the trees and is also putting out the fire.
That's right.
And as somebody else is asking, well, in kind of an angry, arguing tone, well, how do you know it wasn't water? And it could have been.
That's true.
We don't know. It could have been that there was some shift in the water table and the water rose and the trees died. The dreamer was simply thinking that he felt male, that could not see standing water there, and therefore it was something subterranean, something under the soil, and he thought it was not a good sign.
That's right.
We're simply reporting what the dreamer thought, and that's what the dreamer thought, and we are completely neutral on whether or not that was accurate or inaccurate.
That's right.
For him is the message. And why do you ask? And what now to stop this biological annihilation? What now to stop humanity's murdering all other life on Earth? How to inspire a divine miracle to form a divine plan that's based in reality, to stop the destruction of all life on Earth at humanity's hands using tools sent in by the spirit world after they decided chimps were too warlike.
That's right.
And maybe chimps are more warlike, but there's only 300,000 chimps, and there's 7.8 billion with a B humans. What now? What now?
What now?
What now to inspire a divine miracle? Somebody's talking about what divinity can and can't do. And they're talking about thunderbolts and how dangerous they are right now. And the reason seems to be the astral shifting. It's like there's astral earthquakes, would be a good metaphor.
That's right.
And that sending in thunderbolts, it's a little tricky. And so they're using what they call natural mechanisms. And it's hard to tell what's included in that. But
hear
it
you.
seems like maybe disease would be part of the process.
That's true.
Somebody says. How can we be of service to inspire the divine miracle? And they're talking about the 4 major divinities of planet Earth who we have over this effort observed all 4 of them either using themselves up or giving up their lives in the effort to stop this destruction.
Oh,
and
that's right.
how we've also observed planetary consciousnesses feel like it's impossible and it's too much and they quit, and then new planetary consciousnesses coming in, and after about a day feeling that it's also impossible for them and not really trying.
That's right.
And the inspiring a divine miracle requires that we are somehow able to reopen portals to higher vibrations above all of us, which seems to require that we're able to open a portal that reaches outside this black hole of corruption that it seems possible that Earth has slipped inside of.
That's true.
And not just Earth, but this neck of the woods, this corner of the universes, the all that is, the multiverses. For him is the message. Why do you ask? And how to reopen portals to higher vibrations above all of us. How to reopen portals to higher vibrations above all. What now to shorten the karmic cycles? Because if higher presences aren't working to shorten karmic cycles, it would be an interesting inquiry to see how they could be defined as higher vibration. Because in this, maybe throughout the black hole of corruption, we don't know, but on planet Earth it definitely seems that karma is delayed until after death for all but the best of the best. And there is not justice because toads are not treated as equally valuable to humans. And if you notice how toads feel about themselves, they have opinions and intelligence. And they do not consider humans to be superior to them.
No, not at all.
Not at all. They consider humans to be poorly thought through experiments.
Someone upstairs is threading together multiple topics that have been coming up over the past few days. They're talking about the black hole of corruption and how what is inside the black hole of corruption has been poisoned. And they're talking about a way to restore native areas in previously poisoned places, where the restorers plant native plants
that are aggressive growers,
but native. And the aggressive growers
uptake.
Thank you. The poison, uptake the poison, and in doing so, the poison comes out of the soil. And they're talking
and
about...
in a biochemical reaction is presumably converted into something less dangerous.
That's what they're talking about. And they're talking about that dream with the dead trees and the fire always stopped.
We don't know if it always stopped there. We know that in the dream it stopped there.
That's true.
And that there was a reference to another situation in which the controlled burns do always go out at this one spot.
Thank you. That is accurate. And then they keep pointing at the black hole of corruption with that face that normally means...
Do you get it?
That's it, that's the face.
Well, we know that they're saying, possibly one thing they could be saying is seed the black hole of corruption with aggressive natives. And we know that something else that somebody else is saying is that we just need to stop this fighting.
That's what they're talking about.
And the last thing that we need is to add more aggression to the equation, that it's time for everybody to put the guns down and put the weaponry down and just stop fighting and assume. And people then can get very aggressive in their thinking and think, I can't stop fighting because then some undesired outcome will occur. And what our Ra used to say when we would say is, well, what if that undesired outcome occurs? And he would say, well, assume it will. And then see if you can find a way to think about it that's effective. And so to stop fighting and to say, well, really, if there's going to be an 18-degree temperature spike, really, can we at least stop fighting and be kind, at least, just right at the end, and stop attacking things that are different than we are? Stop pretending that humans are the only things with feelings, because that's ridiculous.
That's true, I hear you.
And there are these two little black caterpillars that have taken up residence on this red top, which is a shrub, and the red top was just pretty much almost killed by the caterpillars. The caterpillars came and went in a massive caterpillar bloom of this certain kind of caterpillar that's native, and it's okay. And the result is a very small brown moth that kind of lives near the ground, and there's clouds of them.
That's true.
But after the caterpillars almost killed those shrubs, there's these two black grasshoppers. They're just trying to make a go of it, and they're native grasshoppers, and they're mellow, and it's true that the plant does not want them to eat it because the plant feels like it's had enough.
Yeah.
But what about the grasshoppers? And there's two of them, like it could be a parent and child. They're different sizes. Somebody says it could be male and female.
I hear you.
That's also true. And we don't know which one is bigger with the grasshoppers. You have to look it up. If you think of, for example, walking sticks, the females are bigger.
That's right.
A lot of the exoskeletons, the rules are different.
That's right.
For him is the message. Why do you ask? But to consider that those two grasshoppers should have equal rights to living here. And there are many wasps, for example, that love these canopies that we also love, and they like to live under them for the reasons that we ourselves like to live under roofs.
That's right.
And none of us who are living on this farm made this canopy. We ordered it. It was shipped to us in a box.
That's
we
right.
assembled it and installed it, but we didn't make it.
No.
And the wasps didn't make it, but neither did we.
No, that's true.
So why would we kill them? Well, if they were aggressive, and there's so many different kinds of wasps, and we like the mellow wasps being here because they kind of indicate to the harsher, more aggressive wasps that this space is already taken and the aggressive ones just go elsewhere. But a couple days ago, this is what they're talking about.
That's what they're talking about.
A really big, it looked like a hornet, and we
Yes.
haven't completed the research on it yet, but it looked like a non-native hornet, and a new, aggressive, large, stinging insect. And it was harassing these native, small, mellow wasps, of which we have 3 nests right in that area. And this hornet was going from nest to nest, harassing them, like really threatening them.
Yeah, that's right.
So we sprayed it, which we don't often do,
No.
with this foaming wasp spray that it clings to their wings and it weights down their wings, and they're not supposed to be able to fly. And it flew not just a little bit, but up over these 100-foot tall trees.
Yep.
It's like, oh my golly gosh. It's alive and it's angry and it knows where we live.
That's right.
Not ideal.
That's right.
And now what? But this question of native versus non-native is what matters, because that that hornet-looking thing was definitely aggressive. Is it native or non-native? And they're talking about this lizard that we
That's right.
recently noticed, and we're still only 4 years in this ecosystem, so we're still learning the native species here. And we had not had any familiarity with that particular lizard, so we took a picture of it and sent it to some native Floridians that we know, and
That's right.
said, what's this? Do you guys know this? We looked up orange-headed lizard online, and all that came up was big, bad, invasive, super bad. It looked different. It's like, well, that looks more like an iguana, and this looks more like a skink.
That's right.
But then we called the county extension office, which is supposed to be the local credible experts, and we described it, and she said, well, send me the picture. But we had an internet delay. We sent the picture, but it didn't arrive. And she said, well, it's got to be non-native. And so bag it up and put it in the freezer, and that's the way to euthanize the non-native species. So we did that, and then 15 minutes later we got an email from the same woman at the extension office saying, oh gosh, I'm sorry, your picture came through and that's a broadhead skink, and broadhead skinks are native. So we quick ran to the freezer and took out this poor little guy and held it in our hands and tried to warm it up, and its tail started twitching. It's like, okay, good. We put it back in the greenhouse where we've seen it a couple times, and kept checking on it, and we would open the door and it would twitch its tail, but it was still kind of lying immobile, just twitching the tail, and then we would close the door and wait, and then we'd open it and check, because we don't want to freak out the lizard. Let it have a little bit of peaceful time, and it would twitch its tail as if to say, I'm alive.
That's right.
So we said, all right, and we went away for maybe an hour, half hour, maybe more like an hour. Came back, and it was about a foot away, upside down, and distinctly not moving.
Yes.
Quite dead. And so we had murdered a native species out of our ignorance, even though we checked with native Floridians, the internet, and the local credible expert, and they all said there's no orange-headed native lizard, but there was, so they weren't right. Now what? And how do we make that right, And what we've done before, when we've cut down what we thought was a non-native plant, and only to find out, oh my gosh, that's native, because we're still learning the ecosystem, that we just try to make it right for that species whenever we come across it, and make it up to the species. It's like, I can't put that Hartsoburstin back, but I can spread the seeds of other Hartsoburstins, and I can move away the other plants that are pressing on a Hartsoburstin, and in such a way make it right with the Hartsoburstin community.
That's right.
For whom is the message, and why do you ask?